Welcome to Left On Wed.
Bite-sized tips for people getting hitched. Georgia Fletcher.
Adam Sini.
In the same room.
How did we get here?
In this part of town. You ever ridden on a Segway?
No, I haven't.
You should.
But let's ride on a Segway together
Wow,
about
here we go.
personalising your wedding.
Wow, that was
There are
fantastic.
so
That was
many
actually, you see what
ways.
you did there?
No, I didn't.
You talked about Segways on a Segway.
Okay,
You're so
well,
clever.
let's circle back to the Segways.
Great.
The
Fantastic.
actual ones when it comes to personalising your wedding.
A wedding is personal in nature, right? But I think you can add little extra touches on top of it to make it scream you as a couple.
Screaming so much that you need to block your ears because there are just so many ways that you can personalise your wedding. And we want to preface this episode by saying we cannot cover everything and we are just talking from experience of really unique ways that have stood out to us that are a little bit different from the usual ways of personalising your wedding. So some of the general things are maybe your wedding date is really sentimental and very personal.
Yeah.
Maybe the venue that you've chosen, you want to get married off-site in a very sentimental location. Aside from that, there are very tiny, subtle, personalised touches that we've seen from example,
Gemstones.
the types of flowers
Cobalt.
you choose and the colours maybe that you have in your bouquets or around your venue.
So I think the first thing to do would potentially be to think about the two of you and be like, okay, what's important to us? What are we all about? And what screams us as a couple from our guest's point of view?
What are our favourite things? What are our favourite colours? What's our favourite food? What are our favourite drinks?
Exactly. So food-wise, we see pizza trucks are making a little bit of a resurgence at weddings. Maybe tacos, or you like that feasting style down the middle, or food's really important to you. That might be something that you, in budget, really
You might like
put money
crock and
into.
bush.
You might
and
like
that's
crock and
what you
bush.
want to have as your cake.
Or saying that, you might not like sweets. You might
Maybe
not
like
cheese.
cheese.
Cake. You
Have
might
a cheesecake.
A cheesecake, but not a cheesecake. A cheesecake that is just cheese.
A stack of cheeses.
As a cake, yes. I've seen that, right? A big wheel of brie, and that was them.
Look at us.
Look at us.
We are already on the personalising your wedding train.
Look at us.
Next stop.
Crown Town, baby. So what's important to you? Maybe it's the music as well. And there's little ways that you can personalize your music during the day. For one, obviously, you hire your favorite band or DJ, something that's really important to you. But then,
I had a wedding recently where they were made official as Top Shelf Live played in the background. So who did they get at their
cool.
wedding? Top Shelf Live.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Very cool.
And then it's like, okay, so then there's a particular track that they want for the Walk Down the Aisle song, or we love this song, we're going to have it in our signing. There's little litters of kittens in your day. Little litters of kittens and cats. Yes. Talk a lot about cats in this podcast, baby.
We are just purring with personalisation.
And talking about music, I want to
Personalised.
stop that. Well, we are a punny podcast. It is left, I guess. Okay, keep going. A little bit more.
Personalised.
All right, that's enough. I want to talk about first dance. Great way to personalize your day. A particular way that you could do your first dance.
The Nutbush.
No, thank you. If that's up your alley. I actually had a couple recently did the Napoleon Dynamite dance.
I love that. The in-betweeners as well for the reception entrance.
Yeah, brilliant.
Genius.
Yeah, and that was really them as well because they were kind of funny, quirky couples. So that worked for them. So everyone afterwards was like, oh my God, that I knew they were going to do something silly and fun, and that was it, which I thought was really cool as well. What about your entertainment?
Magicians?
Yeah, baby.
You might have met in a magic shop, like Abracadabra in Bangalore.
Okay, hold on a second. Is this a real story or did you just say that? Is that a real magic shop in Bangalore?
It is.
Really?
Yes, it's really cool.
Cool, man.
So to do with magic, you might have a
Plug
magician.
for them. And there's a discount code in the show notes. There's not. Just in case they hear this, chuck us one and more.
Oh, live painting.
Yeah, what about this? Oh, yeah, nice. My in-laws, Andrew's parents, had a burlesque show at their wedding, right?
Oh, that's
So they
fun.
had an acrobat, they had a burlesque dancer, and I think a magician as well. It
Maybe
was
one of your
insane.
first
Drag
dates
queens.
was a circus.
Yes.
That's so cool.
But if that just sort of screams you and you're those sort of fun and you like to put on a show, sweet. But what if you're a little bit more subtle in your approach or there's little other things that you want to get in there? I've saw recently embroidered napkins by one of the brides.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So she had done a personalized napkin. There was only about 30 guests, I'd say, but for every single guest, and there was something about them on it. She did one for me, and she wrote "Married by Adam" embroidered on it with a hat,
Yes.
like the hat.
Some
that I wear.
people do personalized letters
Beautiful.
as the place cards. I've seen that
I love
too.
that so much.
Other ways to personalize your reception other than napkins is the drinks that are served. So
Yeah.
sometimes if you are choosing to do those gifts to take home for guests, which you don't have to do, limoncello, one of your favorite shots,
Yeah.
or stickers that have your initials or your names on it, then that's your favorite drink. You could also have your favorite drink served at a
Yes.
cocktail bar.
I see this a lot. It's like
bride and groom,
Yeah.
bride, groom.
Yeah, like Adam's cocktail is a Negroni that he loves,
Amazing.
and that's the one. And George's cocktail is a virgin mojito, something that you love, and then that's what people drink.
Yes.
I also saw one recently where they had on the table little bags of lollies, and one was Luke's lollies and one was Bianca's of their favorite little treats.
I've seen that too.
Thought that was really cute. I really loved that. And also what I saw last week was instead of having table numbers, they had names for the tables of important places in their relationships.
Yes.
which I
I've
thought was
also
cool.
seen at, the couples photos of them at 1 year old for table 1.
Love that.
Photos of them at 2 years old for table 2. Or places that they've been as a couple where they got
that's what this couple
engaged.
did,
That's
yeah.
amazing.
It was like Curl Beach. And,
Love it.
Yeah, sick. On the table numbers one, friends of mine did one where on each table you had a little guest book, and they would open that guest book on that table number anniversary. So we were on table 12. So on their 12th anniversary, they'll open that and read the advice that we put in there for that
I've
day.
seen that as wine bottles.
Yes, that's cool.
Personalized wine bottles with numbers of the anniversary that they'll open that wine bottle on,
yes.
and people could sign the label.
So cute.
That
then
was really cool.
Obviously, that leads us into great guest books, audio guest books like Off the Hook that we love, that people can sort of personalize and leave stuff in there. Leave your mark on it.
What about pets and personalizing your wedding with pets?
How do you do that?
So you could put them on the linen, the napkins, or what else?
I saw one where they named the bar after their dog. Recently. It
Yes.
was like Archie's Bar.
I
Yeah.
organised cardboard cutouts for my couple last week who had their dog and their cat, but they couldn't bring them to the venue. So that was one way to personalise their dance floor. That was fun.
Friend of mine was, this story ends differently to what I thought. Friend of mine was like the best man at a wedding, right? He lives in the UK. It was kind of COVID times, and they thought he's not going to be able to make it. So they got a life-size cardboard cutout of him, and they were going to have him at the ceremony. And then he walked through the door, and nobody knew that he was coming wearing the exact same suit as the cardboard cutout.
Oh,
It was
genius.
incredible. But the cardboard cutout was hilarious. It stayed through. It was on the dance floor, and then he was holding it. It was an amazing surprise.
So personalising your wedding in terms of the venue you choose, the date that you go with, ways to incorporate guests that are not there, ways to incorporate your pets. We have touched on so much already. Your favourite drink, food, other tiny personalised touches throughout the ceremony and the reception. Is there anything left?
Well, it's obviously like your ceremony broadly will be personalised about you if you get one of those storyteller celebrants like you and I, who are going to unpack and talk about your ceremony. Then you might be able to later in the day do a little bit of recall trivia about what that's all about for the two of you,
I
which
love
we've
trivia.
talked about in a separate episode.
Trivia is fun.
Trivia is one of the most fun things to do that ends at a reasonable time. As I get older, it's like if something goes past 10 o'clock, some of us have to go to bed.
Sometimes.
And that's why you could personalize your wedding. In December, literally coming up, I have a wedding. The ceremony starts at 2 o'clock. Reception starts at 4. So the dance floor can open. Everyone's out by 9 o'clock.
Genius.
Beautiful.
Personalising your sleep routine.
Exactly, because they don't want to stay up till midnight. They don't usually do this.
Know your limits.
Know your limits. Personalize your limits.
There are so many ways to personalize your wedding, but it's not just about our favorites and what we value, but people know you for your work and your passion.
Yeah.
So I often marry a lot of teachers, and being a teacher myself, I find what they include as their personal touches quite funny and sentimental and very thoughtful. I had a wedding recently where the bride encouraged her children to do a creative arts at a 3D shapes lesson by creating cones. They decorated the cones, and that's what they put their petals in for their ceremony. Genius.
What about this? Friends of mine wedding recently, they're both actors and they got married in a theatre. And then after their ceremony, they got married on the stage. After their ceremony, they had a show of all their talented friends. So people came up and did musical performances. Someone came up and did a dance. There were improvisers. There was a band of friends. And it was like everyone in the room is talented and they wanted to show them off. And they're actors, they're performers. So they did a whole performance. It was amazing. So very them.
And hey, we've done a whole episode on how to involve your friends in a
Beautiful.
really thoughtful way. And that is very clever.
And what about this? I had another friend who was a musical theatre people. So they got, as a surprise, a whole lot of musical theatre people to do a flash mob during their ceremony and stand up and sing. I was a part of that. Famously, cannot hold a tune. So
can't you?
just pretended to sing really loudly.
Well, it's how you feel in the moment.
Good.
I also had a couple that the groom wanted an entrance, the bride wanted an entrance. Groom was a big Star Wars fan, walked out to the theme song. Bride, big Disney fan, walked in to kiss the girl, which was a really beautiful take on The Little Mermaid by Brett Morgan, who you can find on Spotify. Very beautiful versions.
Who wrote the Little Mermaid soundtrack?
No, he's just done all these great covers of like Lizzie McGuire, like classic, amazing songs, but in a slower, more wedding vibe. It's really lovely.
What's the Lizzie McGuire song? Sing.
Hey now, this is what dreams are made of. But he says, hey now.
Oh, yeah, it's weddingified.
Yeah.
It's beautiful. It's
pretty.
pretty.
Really nice.
I love that
It's
so
really
much.
lovely.
I had, talking music at a wedding, they did, do you know The Lonely Island, Andy Samberg?
Oh, yes.
They did
classic.
a song of them during the signing. It's a parody song, and they waited to find out, like watching everyone's faces, and they found out how ridiculous the song was. If you know the song, you probably know what I'm talking about. It's a lot. And they did that during their signing. But that was them because they were kind of pranksters and jokesters, and they wanted to sort of catch everyone off guard, which I thought
And
was
you
really
mentioned
cool.
the first dance, Personal Touches. That's a lovely one for choosing extra songs that you didn't quite squeeze into other formalities, but having them at the signing of the paperwork. That's really lovely.
100%.
Thoughtful. Any nurses, paramedics, doctors, surgeons out there might be really thoughtful in looking after their guests for hangover kits. Maybe they want to put a little pouch together of Panadol, Hydrolite. Look after their guests so that you're off the hook for the night and they can take care of themselves tomorrow morning.
I've seen like little crates on the side of the dance floor with slip-on flats for people who might be wearing high heels to like kick off their shoes, enjoy the night and have a boogie with the couple. I think that's a really cute idea as well.
That's really nice. A good personal touch.
What about lamingtons?
What?
I had a
Why?
lamington tower at a wedding once, right?
Oh.
And they brought all these really yummy, expensive lamingtons and towered them up. And that was their thing. And they did a lamington smash for their first cake cut. They smashed a lamington to each other's face.
Wow.
Yeah, it was awesome.
I love that. Because sometimes you go to a cake testing, you do some cake, what's it called?
Eating.
Tasting.
You eat them.
Tasting. I got the wrong vowel.
How
Not
do you-
testing, cake tasting. And you might just choose a flavour. But like that, the lamingtons might be a really nice personal touch. Or do not forget the donut towers that you could have.
You are on fire today.
Like a ring. You know, it's symbolic. A donut is fantastic.
Did I tell you about my couple who swapped lolly rings recently?
No, I love
Legit.
that though.
They didn't have rings. They didn't care for them. It wasn't their thing. So for the ring exchange, they got their little niece to bring up 2 lolly rings and we exchanged them. And I just talked about the flavours that they were exchanging.
Picture
during the
this.
ring exchange.
Can you imagine the time puns for a couple that wanted to exchange watches more than rings?
Have you had that?
Yes.
I've had
Really good.
tattoo artist at weddings.
Yes. I'm thinking I would like to get a tattoo of Max around my ring finger
Cute,
because
yeah.
the ring is just not comfortable
Yeah,
anymore.
I wear a ring, but I have seen people that's coming quite a trend is
We
tattooing
must
the
evolve.
ring. We must evolve. But yeah, I had a couple and they had a tattoo artist and they had a little flash card thing of all the different tattoos you could get. And it was a 15-minute tattoo. You get a tattoo with the couple.
I really like that idea
Yeah,
too.
sick, if you're a tattoo person.
If you're a tattoo person.
Got
But
any
great to offer the
tattoos?
choice. I don't have any tattoos. That would be my first. That's why I'm thinking really
Do you
carefully
want to
about
get a
it.
left on wed tattoo?
Maybe we'll talk about that off the microphone.
If you get a left on wed tattoo, I will personally
Send you a box of parasols
yes, get a box of
to protect
That's
to
what
protect
you
your
get.
new tattoo.
You know what you can do? You can have an episode to yourself without Georgia and I. Does that still make it left on wed?
No, that would be left on your own.
Georgia,
Yes.
I reckon let's go.
Wrap that up.
See you later, baby.
Hey Hey, thanks for listening.
We really appreciate you. And if you want to hear and see more, follow us on the socials. We are at Left on Wed Podcast on TikTok, on YouTube. There are full video episodes, and on Instagram.
There sure are. If you've got questions, you've got comments, ideas for topics, slide on into the DMs. But you can also inquire about our celebrant services by finding Adam on Instagram and TikTok at Married by Adam.
That's me.
You can find me at Georgia Fletcher Celebrant.
And if you are itching to tell people about this, please do. But you can leave us a review on whatever platform you listen on. Tell people how much you love it. 5 stars only.
Thank you. That's all we will accept. We'll see you next time.
Left on Wed is recorded on the lands of the Gadigal people of the Eora Nation. We pay respects to the elders past and present.
We, Adam and Georgia, acknowledge our First Nations people's continuous connection to culture and the importance of storytelling.